Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a wonderful show for you today. As usual, we're going to have some interesting issues, some issues that not necessarily going to be talked in detail on the mainstream media, because in fact, this one covers and talks about the mainstream media. For those of you who are just tuning in, for those of you who are just starting up, for those of you who are just coming in, please remember the first thing that I ask all you to do is to share the program like when? Now. Share the program like when? Now. Please share the program on your Facebook page. Please share the program on your wall. Please share the program on Twitter, Instagram, and on the Yellow Man, everything, so that we can make sure that the message gets out there. This is going to be an interesting show because we're going to be talking about an interesting topic. Yes, it's going to be covering Donald Trump, but it's going to be a bit deeper than that, because why do we have to go deeper than that? Because it is more than Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is taking all the air out of he himself is taking so much air out of the system that it materially affects what other things get covered and how other people are able to get resources, how other people are able to get what's their due. So, folks, if you're just joining us, I ask thee kindly, I ask that you go ahead and immediately share this program. Share this program on your wall. Share this program on Twitter. Share this program everywhere. Well, what do you think about the news today? And beforehand, I just want to say, do you think he's about to flip? Do you think Michael Cohen is about to flip? That's not what we're talking about today, but that's been on the news today, where he changes a whole lot of lawyers, and just maybe, several people are starting to believe that he is now in flippable territory. What is your thoughts on that? I would be interested to know if you guys believe there is a possibility that El Señor Miguel Cohen decides to flip. Personally speaking, I don't see that happening quite yet, but it seems like a lot of people are starting to believe that just might happen. What are your thoughts? Folks, please remember, this is your show. You can change the direction of the show, whatever, even though we have a particular subject or topic that we come here with every single day, because this is your show. You have the ability to tell us you want to move into a different direction. And generally speaking, unless you come with a topic that is completely out of whack, a topic that is completely off base, guess what we do? We listen to you. Why do we listen to you? Because, as I've always said, this is your show. This is interactive, real-time news and opinions, interactive reality, interactive stuff that you can make a point. You know, there are certain times things happen on the news and you want to know, well, why? You can ask NBC and these guys in real time why. And not only that, they're very selective in what they choose to decide that they want to air. Not here. Everybody has a platform. I don't care what your ideology is. And everybody who are regulars would tell you, you all have a platform. Welcome, Rachel Port. Welcome, Gail Kutin, and welcome everybody else that's coming on. Remember, those of you that are just coming on now, please immediately go and do what to the program? Please share. That is how we make sure that this program has maximal reach, because a lot of what you're going to hear here, you don't necessarily hear in the right numbers on the mainstream media. And we're going to talk about some of that today as well. But before we get started, you know, this is the time that I do my first ask. Please, folks, there are two things that I ask you to do. First of all is always share the program. And number two, if you have the wherewithal, actually it's going to be three. Number two, if you have the wherewithal, we ask you to become subscribers. Subscribing to Politics Done Right is very, 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 very worth it. We do a whole lot of stuff. We bring you candidates. We bring you progressive candidates. We bring you progressive news. We interpret the news. We make sure that all the crap that you hear on the mainstream media is dissected and exploded where it needs to be exploded, and tolerated or brought to the forefront where it needs to be. We make sure. What I tell you here is we tell the truth here. We don't do any kind of bloviating. We actually tell the truth with our opinions, of course, which is from a progressive slant. And there's not a whole lot of that on TV anymore. So what we ask that you do is that in the short term, in the long term, become subscribers of Politics Done Right. We don't ask you to do something that we don't already do. We support dailycoast.com, opednews.com, coffeepartyusa.com, kpft.org. This is the Pacifica Network radio station, and many other progressive outlets, because they have the right wing money. We just have you. You are the only ones that allow these things to continue. Anyway, I'm not going to keep on that pitch for much longer, because it is time for us to talk about the topic of the day. The topic of the day is a new journalism needed for an evil and willfully stupid Trump administration. Stupid is in quotes. Why? I generally don't speak that way. I don't like calling people stupid and all that kind of stuff, but the reason I did this is the article that I'm basing a whole lot of this document on, or this article on. That was their initial title. Their initial title had evil and stupid in it, and I really understood what they're trying to say. So it is important that we do. Okay, so the title of the show is a new journalism needed for an evil and willfully stupid Trump administration? And the subtitle is, and this is the most important part, the plutocracy and the right have gamed the current form of journalism. As such, it is essential that journalists adopt a new paradigm. Many independents are, the mainstream media must. Folks, if you're just joining us, please go ahead and share this program immediately on your website, your wall, your Facebook wall, your Google wall, every place that you can, because that is the way we get throughput and the way we get more people into the message that ultimately is going to give us Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate when? In November. Welcome aboard, Matthew Tillman. Welcome, Matthew Tuman. How you doing today? So, folks, if you're just joining us, I ask thee, please share right now. Anyhow, starting with the program. The type of journalism taught in colleges and universities is no longer relevant where facts are fungible more so than in the past. Spinning is no longer creating a point of view around the same facts everyone agrees on. Sadly, it's not. Today, facts are constructed. As such, it is no longer viable to simply ask each of many sides for their point of view of any incident or policy. Think about what that means. But that is how it is today. Journalists must also live within the story they are covering. Their job must not rely solely on reporting, but identifying lies and misinformation objectively. Right now, what's done is he said, she said. How can you inform Americans if you have a liar on one side and somebody begging to tell the truth on the other, and in some cases, liars on both sides? We need a different paradigm. We need a different form of journalism, the type of journalism not necessarily taught in school, because that does not work anywhere. In a place where we can manufacture people talking, saying things they never said. In a world where we can manufacture voices, where we can manufacture all these things, old style journalism does not work. We need new style, investigative, activist journalism. That is what it's going to take. The only way you take down a Trump from the evil that he is inflicting on the country is to have a journalism that is willing to get in there and debunk him, not only in words while he's tweeting or whatever, but debunk him to the core. And be insistent and turning into the wound. Because, folks, Donald Trump to all Americans is a clear and present danger. Again, listen to my Donald Trump voting friends as well. Donald Trump to you is a clear and present danger. He's a danger to your health. He's a danger to your personal economy. He's a danger to your environment because he is deconstructing everything that was built to make your life better, meaning the life of the middle class and the poor, and in the attempt to make life great for 0.1% and make life acceptable for 10 to 20%. Trump voters don't fall into those categories by majorities. So my dear brothers and sisters, both my progressive brothers and sisters, my conservative brothers and sisters, as well as my Trumpists, who I love dearly, Trump is a clear and present danger, and you must understand that, else you pay the consequences. And do not believe the fake lies, the fake news. That's a favorite word now. All we ask you to do is trust and verify. Verify. Welcome aboard, Peggy Hamilton Mormon. Welcome aboard. And welcome aboard anybody else that I missed. But we are going to have a great show for you today. Anyhow, continuing. The journalism of the past is untenable. The right and the plutocracy are using that reality to pilfer their way through America as they decimate what once was a country on the path to becoming great. Notice I don't use the term, let's make America great again. America will only be great when everyone in America has the possibility of being great. We have been on that path for decades. We have been on the path where we've been opening rights, where we've been making the playing field smarter, smoother, more equitable, so that all would have access to success. We've had bumps and starts, stops and starts, but ultimately speaking, as a country, we have been getting greater. We were never great. Donald Trump's slogan about make America great again has nothing to do with America, an America that was great. It has everything to do with an America that was great for a very select few. And most of you who voted for him was never a part of that great America either. Remember that. Remember your life post-Obama. And why do I say, or rather pre-Obama? Why do I say pre-Obama? The reality is that the hate that many had for Obama, for instinctual, carnal, recessive racism that they had for Obama, why they just couldn't take him, was used to elect a Donald Trump. One of the things that I've always asked is think about and ask yourself what life was like before Obama, during Obama, and after Obama. I'll say for the vast majority of the middle class and the poor, with Obama, things improved dramatically, whether they noticed it based on healthcare because things were degrading so badly. But it still was not enough, and it still left a whole lot out because we were still under the tenets of supply-side economics, Reaganomics, voodoo economics, call it what you will. I've discussed that a whole lot in my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. You can get that at Amazon and in a lot of other places. But again, it's an important book that I wrote a few years ago that still holds true today. It explains how the patent system has screwed up the middle class trying to make it forward. How the economic system has really messed us over with the way the plutocracy runs it. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. You should check it out if you get a chance. What I'm going to do at some time is create a little insert here for the video for it. For some reason, I've never done that. I guess I need to self-promote a little bit better or more effective or whatever. But anyhow, Short news story. Senator, and this is great because we need more Republicans doing this. Senator Bob Corker, the Republican chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, on Wednesday chided his GOP colleagues for being cultish and fearful under President Donald Trump and said some are concerned about their prospects in the midterm elections. The Tennessee lawmaker said there are a number of reticent Republicans who are afraid to push back at Trump because they do not want to agitate the president. Senator Bob Corker, the Republican chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, on Wednesday chided the GOP college being cultish. Yes, he has. The Tennessee lawmaker said there are I read that part already. We are in a strange place. It's becoming a cultish thing, isn't it? Said Carter, who also sits on the Senate Budget Committee. It is a good place for a party. It is not a good place for any party to end up with a cult-like situation as it relates to a president that happens to be purportedly of the same party, he said. We have a lot of people who are willing to do the things that they feel are right for our country. We have some who are fearful of upsetting the president, but it's not a good place to be. Welcome aboard, Rachel Port. It's not a good place to be. Kudos to Corker. Why did you have to wait till you're abandoning the Senate to decide to speak out? Why were you speaking out all along? And that's what I tell a whole lot of Republicans. You still have time, Republican guys. Speak out. Speak out. Save the country. Be a hero. The country needs you to speak out now. Because, like I said, Donald Trump and his cabal, they are, and I'm not mincing my words, they are a clear and present danger to the country. They are a clear and present danger to America. They are a clear and present danger to the world. And that is not hyperbole. And that is not hyperbole. The Trump administration is a clear and present danger to humanity. Okay. Do you guys know what time it is? Do you really know what time it is? I'm going to tell you what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, it's time for the weekly blog post. And before I go with the blog post, I want to remind you that I want to beg you, I want to ask you, I want to implore onto you that you share these programs on your wall, on your page, that you tweet them, and that you make sure that it gets maximal exposure, because what we do here, believe it or not, is so very important to ensure that the progressive message gets out, and not only that, everybody understands that they are in it. One of the most important things that I tell you about Politics Done Right is that this is your show. You can control it. You can call in at any time, and you can tell us you want to move in a different direction. You have that ability because this is your show. I've always wanted to ensure that this show was democratic in all aspects, meaning every single American citizen, every single caller can call in, irrespective of whatever ideological persuasion. If you're super conservative or super liberal or somewhere in between, I want to hear from you. You know why I want to hear from you? I want to hear from you because, folks, this, again, is your show. I want you to really understand what I'm saying here. This is your show. Now, for the blog of the week. Title of the blog, Trump Administration, and I stole the title from another article, and interesting enough, the person that I stole it from changed the article title in the Nation's magazine. Ha! Anyhow, Trump administration, evil, stupid, or both. And then this is what I added. A new journalism must inform. Folks, if you're just joining us, please remember, share the program now so that we can keep our throughput up. You're doing the right thing. All right. The Trump administration is more disastrous nationally and internationally than anyone can fathom. The flirtation with Nazis, nationalism, and Randianism and other evils did not start with him, though. A lot of us start to believe, oh, Trump is such a bad guy. He started all these bad things. Wait, hold your horses. Hold your horses. Trump is just a master reseller. Don't forget that. Reagan had a big part. Reagan had a big part in it. Just remember where he started his campaign. Philadelphia, Mississippi, in Neshoba County, where 3 civil rights leaders were murdered. He expanded on Nixon's Southern strategy with an expanded level of misinformation. He spoke about states' rights and voodoo economics, and we all know what that means. We all know what it means. Trump simply passed all of these concepts through a strong magnifying glass. So it's like looking at a disease under a microscope and then making the size you see under the microscope the mass of that disease. That's what Trump did. The disease was always there. All Trump did with that disease is he said, you know what? I am going to expand on that disease. I am going to make that disease more active. I'm going to make that disease kill more. Let's remember that, folks. This is not rocket science. This is what he did. Folks, if you're just joining us, please share the program on your wall. Trump simply passed all these concepts. Voodoo economics, misinformation, racism, Nazism, and Randianism. He just passed that through his magnifying glass. And he gave it all to you. Wrapped up and coded. Wrapped up and coded. That's what Trump did for you. In an article written by Eric Alterman retitled Trump's Genius is His Entertaining Idiocy, from its earlier title, which was The Trump Administration, Evil, Stupid, or Both, in The Nation, points out an interesting reality about a Ronald Reagan-Donald Trump similarity. Yes, I said it. A Ronald Reagan-Donald Trump similarity. And here it goes. Here's what he said. President Ronald Reagan visited a war cemetery in Bitburg as the 40th anniversary of the end of the World War II was approaching. Before going, he proclaimed of the dead SS soldiers buried there, "There were victims just as surely as the victims in the concentration camps." Back then, Reagan's fondness for Nazis soldiers was considered part of the president's charming, disengaged quality, his ability to live inside a fantasy world based on alternative facts. Remember voodoo economics? That was based on alternative facts. I mean, so this stuff isn't new with Trump. Even Papa Bush used to taunt Reagan for his utterances, which were quite often, I hate to use the word, but it was quite often, quote, stupid. Yes, it was. It was. Okay? So, his ability to live inside a fantasy world based on alternative facts, like the one he made up when he claimed that he had participated in the liberation of the concentration camps, despite the fact that he spent war comfortably ensconced in Hollywood. Now, we know it was the beginning of the Nazi-friendly phase of the Republican Party. Yeah, the Nazi-friendly phase of the Republican Party, a line that led directly to Trump's calling the Charlottesville thugs very fine people. Yeah, they're very fine, all right. Alterman then interrogates the Trump administration's acts. This is important. Evil, stupid, or both? That is always the question with this administration. Which is it with Betsy DeVos, with Scott Pruitt, with Jared Kushner, with all of them? Could any sensible person defend DeVos' refusal to examine the problem of gun violence in her recently appointed Commission on School Safety? And what of the combination of banality, corruption, and incompetence on display in Pruitt's everyday's action? And Jared Kushner, don't get me started on his spectacular failures and the sea of corruption in which he and Ivanka swim every day with Donald Trump himself. Ask yourself about the billions he got in loans Ask yourself about Donald Trump potentially causing a war when he was denied credit. Folks, that the media is unable to really hit this guy and stick, given the evil that has emanated from him, given the corruption that has emanated from him. Can only tell you one thing: the plutocracy likes the results they're getting economically right now. And if those results they're getting economically right now persist, they will take any crap, any corruption, any type, even treason, they'll accept from Trump, as long as those in the plutocratic class are making their monies, as long as the economy continues to pilfer you so that they can take what you've earned, so that they can take what you deserve from you. I mean, they don't sit down in the offices and say that, right? They don't. Nobody does that. That is the ultimate results of their policies. And they know, based on the economic model that we follow, what their policies will do. Make you broke. Most of you. For those of you that are listening that are well into the middle class and making good six figures, whether low six figures or high six figures, you're thinking, oh, well, everything is fine with me, so I love these people. For those of you making $50,000, trying to support a family of 4, trying to put a couple of kids through college or whatever, you're struggling. You're the person that Trump says he's going to be fighting for. And so far, every part of the fight that he's fought took some more money away from you to give it to the guys on top. And you know how he did it? 3 different ways, my brothers and sisters. When he gave that buyback and allowed all those companies to bring that money back into the country that they didn't bring in because they owed a lot of taxes on, he said, okay, I'll bring it in for just a tiny bit of taxes. And they said, okay, we bring all that money in under the pretext that we're going to hire people. But guess what they did? Did they hire people? Hell no. They gave a couple of bonuses so that Trump looks good on TV, and then they bought back their stocks. The stock prices got higher. Who is it that owned their stocks but wealthy people? So those wealthy people got all that money that was brought in with low taxes. So that's numero uno. Numero dos, they got a big tax cut. Most of that tax cut didn't come to you, working person, for $50,000. And even if you got a tax cut on $50,000, a few dollars here and there, you're going to pay it all back to Uncle Sam. No, you're going to pay it all back to the plutocracy as soon as you see your medical insurance in October. As soon as you see increased gas prices based on policies right now. You're going to see it in all those increased drug prices that are occurring right now. So that tax cut wasn't for you. Even the ones that they give to you is being used to pay the plutocracy, the drug companies, the pharmaceuticals, the oil companies, the rich folk. Still. And this isn't rich envy, folks. This is how we've systematically created an economy that simply takes from you and makes you a commodity. Until you understand that, we're going to go nowhere. But that's why there's politics done right. Because what we want to do is we don't want you to look at all the rhetoric. Oh, the economy is chirping along. The growth rate is so high that we decided to increase the discount rate now. We added a 25 points to the national interest rates now. 25 points. Okay, so that's going to help a few savers, right? You think the bank's going to give them 25%? No. 25.25%? No. They're not getting that. But guess what they're going to do? Watch your next credit card bill. Watch how high that interest rate comes up. And the justification is, well, the Feds just raised the interest rates, the money that we borrow, so we raise it on you. Ask yourself the question, how comes it's more than 0.25%? And by the way, how comes if money can be borrowed at under 2%, you're paying 25% interest? If you're lucky, 12% on your credit cards. How comes? Folks, you see, I want you to understand that you are systematically raped. And I'm sorry for using that word, but I want it to be graphic here. You are systematically abused. You're systematically made that you will never be able to climb out of the position that you're in. A few will. Don't get me wrong. A few will. A few will hit the jackpot. but the vast majority of you will not. And all the promises that Trump has given to his Trumpists, to those who love him, they're going nowhere, folks. Nowhere. It cannot. The system is not designed to help you. The system is designed to extract from you. Think about everything that you do when you get out of bed in the mornings. I want you to do that. Think about every motion you make, every dollar you spend when you get out of bed in the morning, and ask yourself one simple question. What policy did Trump effect that makes that particular economic transaction that you have to make better? None. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you had to go buy toothpaste, toilet paper, soap. All those prices with the new interest rates, they're going to be going up. Well, not the new interest rate, but things are going to cost a little bit more. All right, you got a cold, you have to go buy some drugs. Those are going to go up. You go fill your tank with gas, it's going to go up again. Policy. By making things difficult with Iran and making things difficult elsewhere, it puts a upward pressure on crude oil, etc. In my case, I kind of like that because it means people are going to use less pollution, etc. But every move that you make, ask what has Trump done to make it better than it was before. And what you're going to find for the middle class and the poor, none. What you're going to find for the rich, oh man, we are swimming in cash. So anyhow, this author then gets something in this administration I've written about, even in the context of the Trump-Jong-un summit. He gets to something that I've even written about in this, and I kind of love that he got there, and this is what he said. I've said this before. The problem with the Trump administration is that everything it does is a distraction from everything else it does. Trade, immigration, economic equality, education, environmental protection, workers' rights, women's rights, diplomacy. What it is, borrow from Groucho Marx, they're against it. And they will also lie about it. And they will complain about being asked about it, dismayed about the fact that reporters were questioning the wisdom of Israeli soldiers shooting unarmed Palestinians, or the other side of the separation fence in Gaza. U.S. Ambassador David Friedman told them to just keep your mouth shut until you figure it out. Look, my brothers and my sisters, this liberal here, this left-wing progressive person here, doesn't care what's your ideology. Really don't. I honestly really don't give a flying. You know what your ideology is. I just know one thing. My whole goal in life is to say, what is best for us all? We all bleed red. We all want the same things. There's very little that separates us. Very, very little. Muy poquito, nada más un poquito nos separa a nosotros. Okay? Very little separates us. The plutocracy has to make it huge. They have to make it that somehow we are so much fighting each other, so much against each other. And that's the way, if they can keep us fighting each other, we forget to look at who's really causing all the problems in America. The people that are causing the problems in America are those that are pilfering you, those that want to use you simply for extractive purposes. I take whatever you can produce. I take your labor. I take your money. I take everything. You know why? Because it's there to be taken. And the richer I get, the more I want. I got to be better than that one next to me, so I got to extract some more. Until you understand that you're being played and that you're just being played. We're all being played, right? When we all understand it, we'll vote appropriately. The problem is that we don't. The misinformation continues. The misinformation continues. But anyhow, Alterman would go on to point out why the media is incapable of using the old journalistic techniques to cover Trump and his administration. And I love what he wrote here. This is important. Listen to this. I don't blame journalists for feeling overwhelmed. They have a set of standard practices of how to go about their jobs with a degree of professionalism and self-respect, and none of that works with these people. Offer to allow them to give their side of an issue, and they will, virtually without exception, tell a lie and call you a liberal elitist if you don't swallow it. Stick to your guns by digging more deeply into the morass they've created, and they will sick their violent minions on you to harass you, dox you, and occasionally threaten you with physical violence on social media. And their lies will be repeated literally thousands of times on Fox, on talk radio, on Breitbart, on Drudge, on Facebook and Twitter, and often with only the weakest caveats on CNN, MSNBC, the networks, and the rest of the national news media. You see, people, the scale of the Trump threat is beyond. The scale of the Trump threat is beyond our journalistic resources to expose it, much less thwart it. That's new. That's old school journalism, brothers and sisters. What's more, Trump's genius for distraction, self-pity, and entertaining idiocy succeeds not only in normalizing his psychopathic behavior and malevolent prejudices, but also in hiding the fact that institutions that protect our freedom and democratic rights are teetering beneath a ferocious assault. These are all truities, folks. These are truths that we have to acknowledge, pass on, and let our friends and neighbors and brothers and sisters and families and everybody, they have got to understand these things, my dear people. They've got to. And it's you are the ones who are going to have to promote these reality shows like this. It is you who are going to have to make them listen, because they listen to you. You can get us in there. It is you. So, let me repeat that last sentence because it was genius. Trump, genius for distraction, self-pity, and entertaining idiocy, succeeds not only in normalizing his psychopathic behavior and malevolent prejudices, but also in hiding the fact that institutions that protect our freedom and democratic rights are teetering beneath a ferocious assault. We fiddle. The regular press fiddles. They fiddle here and they fiddle there. But you know what they do? They burn. So, how do we conclude? How do I finish on what I'm trying to say here? It goes as follows. The current form of journalism is incapable of saving America from the likes of Trump and the misinforming institution funded by the Plutocracy to maintain their power, even as they decimate all else. If you get a chance, read the Powell Manifesto. I have it on my website, so just scan for Powell Manifesto. I've written several articles on the Powell Manifesto. I've also introduced to you Lewis Powell, the person who can be said to be quite responsible for all those foundations that twist data to lie to you to make you believe things should be a way that they shouldn't. Who is one of the major ones? The Heritage Foundation, but there are dozens of them out there that are there designed from scratch to misinform you. These are designed from scratch to lie to you, to change information that make you believe it is what it isn't. Folks, if you're just joining us, please remember to share this. It's so important that people hear this. It is so important that people realize this. It's so important that people believe this after fact checking it. I ask everybody, don't take my word for it. I'm just one host on air. You can fact check me. You know why? I prefer when you fact checked me. That gives you more trust in what's coming out here. They don't want you to fact check. They just want you to take it at face value. I got a Facebook post today that printed out a Breitbart article, and it was the perfect circular article. What made it right was that Trump tweeted it. Oh, wow, Trump tweeted it. It's the truth. And how do you verify Trump had another tweet? How do you verify that other tweet was correct? Well, Trump tweeted about that tweet. Oh, really? So that's how it works. Wow. Anyhow, so remember, who says we must maintain... I want to read that paragraph again because it all flows together. And I'm going to read it in its entirety because this is very important. Here we go. The current form of journalism is incapable of saving America from the likes of Trump and the misinforming institutions funded by the Plutocracy to maintain their power, even as they decimate all else. But Who says we must maintain the techniques learned in the schools of journalism? A dynamic society requires change when reality changes. The plutocracy and the right have gamed the current form of journalism. They have gamed the current form of journalism. As such, it is essential that journalists adopt a new paradigm. Many independents are. The mainstream media must. The mainstream media, look, you got to do your part. When Politics Done Right goes out there and interviews, do I interview with a push? Yes. When I ask certain questions, do I ask these certain questions already knowing the answers? Yes. Why? Because once that person comes on air with me, if they misinform, you will know right away. We are not going to give lies a chance to live another day. Whenever you do that, let me give an example. A lot of these guys know they're lying when they get on TV. They absolutely know. They go onto TV to lie. They know what they're doing. But here's what they know. They get on the CNN network. They go out there and they put out their lies. They lie about something. The host says, but John, isn't XYZ the way it is? No, it is XYZ, and this is the way it's supposed to be. Then the other person on the other side of the discussion say, no, it's not that way. And then the person on the right, who is usually more forceful, actually he seems like he's more telling the truth because he's so forceful with his message. He comes back and he talks a little bit more, and by then the time for the segment has run out. And what does America is left holding? They're left holding what the lie is. Now, most Americans don't have the time to say, all right, let me go do my fact checking. They watch TV. They come home from work tired. They turn on the news. They may turn on Rachel. They may turn on Hannity. They may turn on one of these guys. And what those people say to them is the law of the land. So, the new kind of journalism does not allow that to occur. In other words, if somebody tells me a lie, in real time, first of all, I make sure to know the subject that we're talking about, and many times better than those who are talking about it. And when they then come to you and they start to lie, before you turn it on to the other person who should refute it, you, the journalist, have the discussion with the liar. You have the discussion with the liar, and you make sure the liar knows we know he's lying, and every part of the lie is corroborated and hit in real time, so that there's no cut the American citizens will see where that lie stood alone. A new kind of journalism, not he said, she said journalism, activist journalism, in your face journalism. That is what's required if America is to learn the truth, if America is to learn how their freedoms are being decimated, if Americans are to learn that the plutocracy, this is all by intent. This is intentional. It's not an accident. The type of news you're getting on mainstream media is intentional. It's intentional to mislead you. Some of them just allow it. Sometimes they correct it. But remember, the plutocracy as well own these stations, and they want a certain modicum of plausibility to lie. Because there are times the people you consider the good side want to lie to you as well. Folks, this is a call-in show as well. I'm going to get to the website, to the page to see what comments I have there, but I'd like you to remember, folks, that you can call in right now at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I would so love to have more people calling in. 646-716-5812. We are here to listen to you. We're here to change the subject if you so desire. We're here to inform. We're here to answer questions, whatever they may be. If we don't know it also, we're here to tell you we don't know it, but we'll find out. And if you know something that we don't know that we need to know, you can call in. And you know what? The platform is yours. The platform is yours. Let me go ahead and do a quick ask before I do my final ask, and that is, this is, folks, a show. I ask, one of the things that I beg you to do, that I ask you to do, is to share this on your wall, share this on your page. We need to have other people watching these progressive programs, letting folks understand what's going on in the world as opposed to what they see on TV, which is generally very limited. How many people know what's going on with the Palestinians and Israelis, how the Israelis are just gunning down the Palestinians right now? How many people know that? How many people know what's going on in Yemen? How many people know that? How many people know what's going on in a lot of parts of the world that we don't really care about? We don't talk about it. But then when things blow up, suddenly we're involved. Anyhow, what we do is we try to bring a lot of things that not necessarily coming over the news, or that not explained the way that it should be on the mainstream media. So we ask you to go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright, and become a subscriber to Politics Done Right. I guarantee you it's worth it. Because, folks, what we do here is to support you. What we do here is to ensure that the mainstream media, that the right wing doesn't get on, even the establishment Democratic Party doesn't fool you, doesn't screw you, doesn't find a way to misinform you so that you would make bad decisions over and over again. Patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. We are here for you. We intend to be here for you. By the way, we'll be at Netroots Nations in August, and several other places going through. We have a whole lot of progressive politicians lined up for you. Okay, let's go ahead now into our system. See, this is our system. I'm pulling it up now. It's kind of still blank, but it's coming up so that I can see what you have to say. Anyhow, my dear great friends. All right, let's start out. Michael Ledo, care to talk about what's happening in South Africa? Okay, I know what you want to talk about. Don't be misled by what you hear about the revenge factor. It's not true at all. The power structure in South Africa is changed, but to some extent, very much still unchanged. So, Daniel, good try. All right. René Perpetua, outsourcing took place under George W. Bush and even earlier. Absolutely true, Mademoiselle René Perpetua. Again, René says nothing has changed that regard. More have left. Even Carter, after receiving millions in tax breaks to stay, left. But you know, they told us that was going to happen, René. They told us it was just a sham. It was just something to give Trump some of the labor vote, and some of the labor union leaders fell for it. I think the rank and file should make them pay a price for misleading them. It was quite obvious from the beginning. Daniel Ledo, America is being saved by Trump. America does not need to be saved from Trump. Saved by Trump? I would like you to give me one example where he has saved America. If that is the case, I'm more concerned about your, well, I'm not going to put it that way, but I'm concerned about you if you really mean what you just wrote. Whoa! Wish you had been so concerned about truth and lies from the plutocracy when Obama spent 8 years lying to us. Obama told a few lies here and there. Nothing like Trump. And if you believe that somehow they're comparable, I'm concerned about you, Mr. Ledo. By the way, folks, Ledo and CSAC are two of my good friends. They are our resident conservative listeners and watchers. I love them to death, but they're both off. Sometimes Ledo is a bit more off than CSAC. Come on, Ledo. You know better than that, my brother. Okay, Matthew Tillman, or Tiemann. Wouldn't be surprised if he flips, but given how little has stuck to Trump, so far I'm skeptical. I think he flips. I think, I am generally good at political diagnosis and predicting. I'm going to be truthful with you. I predicted Trump's win. I'm going to be truthful with you. I am lost. As far as what's going to happen going forward, I am completely lost, my brothers and sisters. Completely lost. All I'm doing right now is saying we have to look at the ball. I'm not looking at Trump. I'm looking at what we got to get done for all of you, for all of us. What we have to do in spite of Donald Trump. That is where my head is. Peggy Hamilton, Mormon. I like the eyes. I am not sure what those eyes mean. I think it kind of means like, oh my God. But you can tell me what it means if I'm wrong. Hey, William Bill McClure, who is running for judge. my good friend, anybody, when you're voting, you guys, my preference would always be the hardest working man in politics. I mean, they used to talk about James Brown about being the hardest working man in music. I've never seen somebody organize and work as hard as Brother William Bill McClure. So, folks, he should be rewarded in November because he hit every single community. He hit every single demographic. He got politicians together to work together, progressives together to work together. William Bill McClure, I wish you so much luck in your race, brother, because like I said, we need more politicians of the caliber that you've been presenting, brother. We need more politicians of the caliber that you represent. Okay, I'm refreshing to get some more people in right now. Let's see what else you have to say. Folks, remember, just go ahead and leave your message there, and I'll read it. We got quite a few more. Let's see. Rene Perpetua, I think that the answer is more programs like yours. The right dominates television and social media. They have perfected the propaganda machine. You're absolutely right, Rene. And by the way, Rene, you are a supporter of Politics Done Right. I thank you so kindly. We need a whole lot more supports. We need hundreds. Look, let me tell you, folks, a lot of folks, when they are asked to support these programs, they think somehow these folks are running off with something of theirs. It's not. If I turn the cameras around and you see how we operate here, you'll understand on what kind of a budget we operate this entire system. And we do very, very well based on the budget that we have. Our throughput per dollar is tremendous. We need a lot more because there's a lot more things that we want to do. I can tell you what I want to do. We're going to Netroots and we're going to set up Politics Done Right at Netroots Nation. That's the biggest liberal progressive bloggers convention in St. Louis. Not St. Louis. I was in St. Louis a few years ago. It's in New Orleans this year, and we have a half-page ad in the Netroots magazine that we traded for. We also have descriptions of Politics Done Right in these other magazines. They're what we traded for. Remember, this is not money exchange. This is traded advertising for getting some other advertising in print that we've done with Netroots Nation. We're also setting up on Radio Row at Netroots Nation, where we will have the cameras and the background and all that kind of stuff for to carry it live. We're going to be interviewing all the progressive politicians are going to be there. If you take a look at what we did last year, we interviewed quite a few, Franken and quite a few of the Sanders delegation that formed our revolution. We also spoke to some of the Congress women and congressmen directly on Politics Done Right in Radio Row. This year we're going to do even more. So we are going to be out there and we're going to man that table and we're going to make sure, or person that table, politically correct, I better be, we're going to make sure all those things are there. That takes support. So that's why we ask, I need to put my ask on before I finish talking, right? That's why we ask you to support Politics Done Right at patreon.com/Politics Done Right. And for those who are already supporting, there are a whole lot of goodies that we have to give out that we haven't yet. We're waiting on some numbers to make it viable to go buy things like the bumper stickers and to reissue the books that we need to print. The electronic books, we just bought some software to go ahead and allow our website to tie in directly to patreon.com so that we can put the website, have parts of the website that are these things that are thanking you great supporters, you great contributors to Politics Done Right. That it should be up this week. The software is there. So I'm asking you to go right now and support Politics Done Right at patreon.com/Politics Done Right. That's patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Okay, let me get back to my great listeners. I think I read that one from Rene Perpetua. Obama saved us from the second Great Depression. He surely did. And not only that, he did some things we didn't like, but he did it not to disrupt the world economic system, which many people believe would have spited the Americans for, well, we'll go into that on another show. Rachel Port says, Joy Reid does what is needed. She doesn't allow guests to say things that are not true. And then she corrects them. She doesn't repeat the lies everyone else repeats, Jan, and she doesn't allow guests to talk about the Democratic Party. She simply says, we don't do that here. This media, you know what? Joyanne Reid is great in that. You're absolutely right. She doesn't allow them to tell lies. I have a few beefs with Joy, and that is There are times that I think it is essential that we speak up against any party because the party isn't succinctly correct all of the times. What we have to do when we speak up is speak up with respect, with the intent to change for the better. And that's what we do. That's what I do. I hit the Democratic Party very hard. I don't hit Democrats hard at all. I don't hit independents and independent Republicans hard at all. I hit the establishment very hard because a lot of times, my dear friend Rachel Port, a lot of times they are not supporting the policies for you. As an example, Ms. Port, I would imagine that I don't know how old you are or whatever, but if we had a public option in the Affordable Care Act when we had a supermajority in Congress and the Senate, your life and the life of millions of Americans would have been better. It wasn't Republicans who stopped that. It was Democrats who did that. So we got to give our dues. All right. Thank you for listening, Ms. Port. Your statements is invaluable, and you're right about Joyanne Reed. Okay, Mike Cisak. The left dominates the news media, the Hollywood media, and the education, Mike College. The left dominates all. You know, that's what they want you to believe, Mike. They want you to believe the left dominates. It's not true at all. It's not true at all. Look at MSNBC and see all the right-wingers that are making up the shows. Go to NBC and watch Chuck Todd on whatever the show is called. They've done analyses, and the analyses have proven one thing. The people that get the most coverage on these stations, guess who they are? Republicans. This is not something that we're kind of think it is. This is just the way it is. I got a caller. 917, you're on. Wait, let me make sure. Hold on, 917. I need to get you on. 917, you're hot. Talk to me.
Yeah, hi. How you guys doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, sir.
So, good. I just wanted to say a big black bug bit a big black dog on his big black nose, and a big bug bit a bold, bald bear, and the bold, bald bear bled badly. And then you got a bitter biting bittern bit a better brother bittern, and the bitter better bittern bit the bitter biter back, and the bitter bittern bitten by the better bitten bittern said, I'm a bitter bit back. Huh?
Let me ask you a foolish question. Did you call to give a joke, or did you want to say something, my dear friend?
Well, no, I just wanted to say that a canner can can anything that he can, but a canner can't can a can it?
I love you, brother. You keep with those analogies. You may want to send me some. I have a website called Jokes I Heard. I'll let you be the star. So give us a call on that. I mean, send. Yeah, wait, hold on. Let me put you back on. Hold on. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead. All right, he hung up. You know, every now and then you get somebody that calls and with the intent of being disruptive. Sometimes we can turn somebody trying to be disruptive into a positive for the show. Anyhow, let me continue with, William Bill McClure says, no, it is not, and you're correct, Bill. Let's see, René Perpetua Cisac, no, maybe Hollywood, that's it. I'm so with you, René. William McClure, yes, I know that time. Joyanne Reed is one of the few to remain on track. Let's see, Mike Cisac, René, yes, over 90% of the news people given are in the Democratic Party, not true. René Perpetua, the radical right is not the majority, but has a well-oiled propaganda machine. René, that's the magic that they have. And it's not that we can't do it, it's that we won't do it because there is a close similarity between establishments. And I think we've spoken about that before. We need to speak about it in more detail in a manner that people are going to listen to it and not just think we're attacking our own party or the Democratic Party or something like that. Mike Cisac, unprecedented hostility, broadcast coverage of President Trump still 90% negative. Why? Because he's a negative person. He's a very negative person. Okay, 412. I'm going to extend the program a little bit because callers, as usual, are coming in late. Come on in, 412. 412, you're on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a woman to her son did utter, go my son and shut the shutter. The shutter shut, the son did utter. I cannot shut it, any shutter.
So you came on with a different telephone number. I mean, you are so good, my friend. You are so good. Thank you. Thank you for putting some amusement here, but I actually kind of liked what you just said. Anyway, Mike Cisac, Obama had 20% negative coverage during his first year. Okay? Yeah, but Obama didn't go out and call people rapists and all these kinds of things. Donald Trump started on an evil trek from the beginning of his campaign. That's how he started. Of course, his coverage has to be negative. If it were less than negative, I would be concerned. René Perpetua, Reagan and Trump are both second-rate actors who believe in their own fantasies and both knew how to reel people into them. Exactly right, and that is what I also said in the blog of the week, René, so you're absolutely right. Jared and Ivanka made $82 million this year. Yeah, how do you sit in a White House and still make that kind of money? Okay, we have a 513 number. If this is the guy again, I'm going to say, man, you have a lot of telephone numbers. So anyway, come on in, 513. Come on in.
I was just going to say, all I want is a proper cup of coffee made in a proper coffee pot. You can believe it or not, but all I want is a cup of coffee in a proper coffee pot. Tin coffee pots or iron coffee pots are of no use to me. If I can't have a proper cup of coffee in a proper coffee pot, then I'll have a cup of tea. Aluminum, linoleum, aluminum.
Thank you very much for that. You brought a little more levity as well. Oh, I love, I love that. I mean, you guys want to keep calling with different telephone numbers? Hey, what can I say? Anyhow, this must be something that you do to progressive shows. But you know what? It's kind of funny. Anyhow, continuing. René Perpetua, the plutocracy has us trapped. No, René. They don't have us trapped. We have ourselves. We have... All of you can create your own politics done right. We have all these things that we are going to make sure that they don't. There's a whole lot more of us than there are them. We just have to remind ourselves that we have power. We have to remind ourselves that we still have control. Even the plutocracy needs consumers. If we decide to target them, there's nothing they can do. There are more of us than them. They want you to believe that you have no power. But you've got power in numbers. René, let's always remember that. Let's always remember that. They create the policies to their advantage. You're right. But we can change that. It's not going to happen overnight because we have to talk to so many of our own people. We have to talk about people. We have to instill confidence in them. We have to let them know that, yes. You remember when Obama said, yes, we can? We need, yes, we can, and we will follow through. That's what we got to do. Mike Cisak? CU freed up unions to be more active in elections. Okay, I don't think so. Citizens United didn't do that because unions are tapped out. You can't kill unions and then say because a union can spend as much money as it wants that Citizens United is somehow pro-union. No. You see, they did it on two fronts. They kill the unions and they allow unions to spend as much as they want, right? But if you kill the union can't spend. But all those with money can continue to spend and spend more. It's all the way it's done. All right, the corporatists are in control. René Perpetua, yes. René Perpetua, that neglects to note that the opportunity to be in a union job has you see what I tell you about my smart callers? René answered your question. I didn't even have to. Daniel Ledo, if Egberto is incensed at rising interest rate, then he seems to be for rich folks borrowing money for free. I love the way you said that. You forgot what I said followingly. You forgot that I said they raise it 0.25 for the discount rate and then look at your credit card and see what the rate increase is. And by the way, why are they charging you so many times that value? Come on, brothers and sisters. Show me some facts. René Perpetua. Daniel, care to talk about South Africa? I think I answered that already. René, okay, I'm going to have to shut the show down right now. Keep giving us pep talk. Thank you, René. I will always be positive. Let me tell you something, my brothers and sisters, in the political world, in the natural world, in the world that we live in, period. There is never a need to despair. You have to remember that we are still somewhat of a Republican democracy, which means some of our people are elected directly by the vote. Some of them are elected by a representative that we elect. So we're still theoretically a democracy. One vote still counts. Now, they try to restrict votes, yes. But we can mitigate those. We can do our jobs. We can send out activists. I am an activist. You can be an activist. I go out there and with my talking, I try to encourage others to vote, to encourage others not only to vote, but to register to vote so they can vote. It's kind of crazy that you have to register to be able to vote, but that's how we run. So we do our job. And then after we enjoy and we talk about registering people to vote, we make sure that the right people get elected and we don't fall for the crap that they put out there, the false information and so forth. You have the Politics Done Right and the TYTs and the Majority Reports and all these guys to kind of clear the field out with the liars, with those of them that would misrepresent you, those that would tell you how things really are not. That's what we're here for. And when we tell that, you spread that word. You share what we have to say. And if you do that, it's not going to happen overnight because remember, people have been brainwashed for decades now. It takes a lot to deprogram them. We eventually deprogram these people, and eventually the right people start to get elected. As more of the right people start to get elected, the policies change, just like it did under FDR. And the policy becomes more middle-class centric. The policies become more poor-centric. Because more flows from the wealthy back where it's supposed to be, we get a more vibrant economy. As we get a more vibrant economy, people can then start to get out of their current conditions. It doesn't happen overnight. We have to keep our eye on the ball. And in keeping our eyes on the ball, and encouraging each other when somebody's in a funk, when somebody's down, when somebody feel like, oh my God, this candidate won again, and you want to feel despair, says, but there's another time. And we keep on fighting. You will never see me depressed, ever. I will always be out there pushing and pushing. Given the life that I've had, depression doesn't work. If I were depressed, given all the headwinds that I've gone through in my life. And that is what I want to promote. Depression doesn't pay. What helps, though, is when you have those others of positive thinking helping you out, helping you to get out of that. I'll take the job. I'll take the job. I'm going to be telling you guys over and over again, don't you ever get depressed. And if you're depressed, give me a call. If you're depressed, rattle. If you're depressed, come on, Politics Done Right. Hey, you have a cell phone and you want to have your video out here too and people can talk to you in real time? Hey, we can do that too. I want you to remember, you're in control. Every single American is in control. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It is their job to tell you that you're weak. It is their job to tell you that you can't really get what you want. But if you build that consensus with other people, if you start, and in fact, democracy works when we get together, all of us, irrespective of ideology and anything else. That is how democracy works. Let's do that and we'll be fine. Folks, please go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Be a supporter. Also share our link to or patreon.com/politicsdoneright so others will consider supporting these programs. My name is Egberto Willies, and you know what I'm going to say right now. I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.